Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review covers Revell's all-new release of the 1/2700 scale Imperial Star Destroyer from the Star Wars series. This massive glue kit is a 2017 product introduction, number 85-6459, but was released previously under the Zvezda brand overseas in 2016. Now, Revell rates this a skill level 5, but with enough attention to it, I think an intermediate builder in the 3 or 4 category could still put this together nicely. Now, known as the Iron Fist of the Empire, capital ships like the Imperial Star Destroyer will project the will of the Empire everywhere it goes. The sheer odds against victory dissuade many from attempting to rebel. Now, the kit consists of 113 parts molded in gray. Assembly is straightforward and painting is simplistic, with the whole ship being painted once it's finished, and then detailed with whatever level of battle damage or detailing you'd like to add. As this was a review, we just went with a simple wash to detail only the highlights, so it's a blank canvas for customizers and a nice little kit for the intermediate builder as well. The kit features a display stand and gun positions, and note that there's a lot of great aftermarket parts on the market today because it's been out now for about a year overseas. Shapeways 3D print services really has some nice parts to enhance this kit and make it a contest winner. When you're done, the overall dimensions of this huge kit are a spectacular 23 inches long, 13 1/4 inches wide, and 5 3/4 inches high. Here is the layout for this kit, and we'll be using Model Master's liquid cement for most of the construction here, occasionally super glue for some small parts, but you should also remember to be sure to follow the manufacturer's safety and use guidelines when you're using any of the products mentioned or you see here in the review. Some people would call this an open box review. I opened the box and here was all the parts. But I'm not going to bore you with the details and try to come up with some words to describe them. I'm just going to show you how to build the model. Construction will start with the upper hull. And note that this kit was completely built and then painted as a whole for a nice uniform paint scheme. And a kit this size needs to be painted all at one time if possible to get a good color match throughout the whole thing. Now, the first few steps are installing the side panels onto the base superstructure. So get these parts out of the kit box as well, and continue the application of the side panels to the superstructure. Everything fits pretty well, so far so good. We'll continue on by adding these side panels to the superstructure, and there are quite a few of them, but they are all well located and go into position easily. Pull the 8 laser cannons out of the kit and carefully attach a set of the laser cannons to each port on the superstructure sides. There will be 4 per side. There's just a few of the side panels left to attach here to the main superstructure, so grab these parts out of the kit and glue them into place in the locations marked and provided. Now we'll be getting into some major construction pieces here, so go ahead and grab these parts out of the kit, and they'll consist of the rest of the superstructure, and we're going to completely assemble the base superstructure at this time. And also we will be putting the main hull together, as you'll see, and everything fits just fine, although you may want to use some glue along the ridge to make sure that it completely seals. So now we can go ahead and grab these pieces to switch to construction of the lower hull. First, install the dome and assemble the hull halves, and then assemble the smaller laser point ports into the side panels in the underside of the hull, and they fit into indents there as positive locations. Assemble the side panels into the lower hull as well, and then the boom hook will be assembled and installed into the cargo bay, as you can see here in the red circle. So with that being done, you'll have the entire lower hull section completed, and the assembly will look like this. So now we'll be getting out some more of the inner panels, and these will be installed on the lower hull. Now note that there are pins and notches to line each panel into the proper location. So you can use glue sparingly there, and they should fit and adhere well, since of course we haven't done any paint. So all the plastic should make for a good strong joint. Just make sure that you don't have any gaps, and press the parts into place fully. Now the panels will line up there at the tip. Now we'll begin construction of the rear bulkhead or hull section, and the engines are assembled now. Assemble the engine mount to the hull, and do not assemble the engines onto the hull. Now test fit the assembly of the engines and the rings, but do not assemble yet to the hull. Locate these parts, as these are going to be supports for inside the ship to assemble the hull completely together. So we'll attach the one small one there to the back of the engine hull and assemble the upper and lower hulls, and then add the center support in place in the front of the opening. Now add the rear engine hull into place into the holes. These pieces out of the kit, as we'll be assembling the secondary superstructure. So put that together with the side panels now. Next we'll be adding the superstructure roofs and the port as well as the port cover. So install that after assembly onto the main superstructure. Collect these parts out of the kit box for the bridge neck, and then assemble the bridge neck, the few simple pieces there, and install that onto the superstructure. So grab the aft and the bottom section of the bridge, and then assemble those two pieces together, making sure that you glue it along the ridge there and eliminate any gap in the assembly. Locate and assemble the three pieces of the radar array there, and go ahead and put those together, making sure that you get a good bond. Collect these parts to assemble the rest of the bridge, the top, the front, the sides, and the radar domes. And there's a support for the inner centerpiece there. So install the back to the rest of the bridge to finish the bridge off, and then add the radar arrays on top. So now we complete most of the construction here by installing the bridge to the neck. And at this point your build is completed, and the first thing that you should do is look it over carefully for any gaps in any of the seams where parts go together, and fill those. You can even use white glue or some Zap-A-Gap type of glue to make sure that it's all tight and looks like a full construction. So after that is done, we're going to carefully paint it and use a good quality light gray primer, like Army Painter or a P3 type primer, and then you can even use Krylon. It's almost a perfect color for the kit, for the version that I built here. And then all you need to do is seal the primer with a semi-gloss clear coat. As I had mentioned earlier, aftermarket parts are already out there and available for this kit because of its earlier release in Europe. In fact, I decided to upgrade my kit from the early model Star Destroyer to the Avenger class from Return of the Jedi, so I needed different engines. Now these were available from 3D printing online services like Shapeways.com. Now notice the different shape and design of the bells from the kit to the aftermarket. Now you don't need to do that. You can continue on with the kit's parts, but just know that I've made some substitutions here so the parts won't look exactly the same as the kit parts. First step is to paint the 4 small engines and the 3 larger ones steel colored and install them into place. Now the engines have a notch and will only fit one way. Now note the aftermarket Shapeway engines are a direct replacement fit. Then you add some detail paint for the rest of the engine base in a steel color. To add a little variation and detail to the kit, I painted the laser cannons flat black as a base, and then some dry brushed steel over the top of that. Next, I gave the entire model a wash of dark gray using some broad brushes and a light wash in order to highlight the panels and recesses. Next, I used some variations of grays and steel color to give the engines a little bit of detail. For the cargo bay, I used some different gray tone washes for highlights and for detail. The main bay is washed with a black oil alcohol-based dye, but you can use any type of a dark finish in order to bring out the highlights there. To make a wash, of course, you simply add a tiny bit of paint to some thinner, and of course the more paint you use, the more opaque it becomes. So if you want less, you'll use very little paint, but you just make a wash with an appropriate color or variations of color to bring out some detail on your panels and recesses. So wash those in the appropriate places, and you can always dry brush off any excess if it pools up. Here's another one of the nice looking parts that I found available at Shapeways. And as I mentioned, I was replicating a scene from Return of the Jedi where Han Solo docked the Millennium Falcon on the back of the Star Destroyer to escape. So I needed a 1/2700 scale Falcon. And Shapeways had one, so with a little detailing, you just glue it in place, and it was the finishing touch I needed for my version of this Star Wars destroyer. And by the way, they also have a Corvette ship from the other scenes, so they work just fine hooked into the cargo bay. The kit also comes with a shallow stand that you can construct to use and display your destroyer off of the table or your shelf. So go ahead and put that together and put that underneath if you prefer that to get a nice display mechanism for your shelf. I'm not really sure if these were supposed to be added somewhere. I didn't see it in the instructions anywhere, but I had 3 extra parts left over from my kit. Well, there you have it. I think this is a spectacular kit. At almost 2 feet long, it commands attention. Finally, Revell has put out a glue kit for the true modeler, and even though it's a large kit, it's fairly simple to build. And one of the best parts is you can find aftermarket stuff for it in both details and even a light kit that's out there to light this thing up. But the details on this kit are in the finishing, and that's where a simple washes and things come to mind to make this a real spectacular contest model. So if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf. We hope you liked this premium scale model step-by-step review. And so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. But you can find us on Facebook and also at our website, rightonreplicas.com. Thanks!